She walked into the family gathering wearing a simple dress, her hair tied back, no expensive jewelry, no designer bag, just herself. Whispers started almost immediately. Some chuckled under their breath, others shot judgmental glances. "She's not one of us," someone murmured. No one cared to ask who she was or where she came from. To them, she was just a plain woman married into a family that valued image more than kindness. Even her own in-laws joined the silent mocking, treating her like an outsider, someone not good enough to sit at their table. But she sat quietly, holding her head high, refusing to react. What they didn't know was that the man she came with, the one who hadn't spoken yet, wasn't just her husband. He was the reason half the people in that room had their businesses running. And when he finally stood up, the room went silent. Every eye turned toward him, waiting. His next words would change everything, not just for her, but for the entire family. What he revealed would not only expose hidden truths, but force everyone to question their own values. What did he say that left the entire room speechless? You'll want to hear this. Before he spoke, he looked around the room slowly, as if studying each face: his cousins, aunts, uncles, even his older brother, who had laughed the loudest earlier. The woman beside him stayed quiet, her eyes lowered, but her back straight. She had always been this way, composed, and never one to speak, just to be heard. They had met years ago, long before the money, when he was just another man trying to make ends meet. She had believed in him when no one else did, supported him through every failure, every sleepless night. But this family only knew the version of him that had success, wealth, and power. And they had always wondered why someone like him had chosen someone like her. She didn't wear diamonds. She didn't come from money. And yet, he loved her fiercely because he remembered where he started. But the family didn't. To them, she was too simple, too ordinary. And in their world, appearance meant everything. As the silence grew heavier, one of the aunts scoffed and muttered something about her not fitting the family image. He turned slowly toward the voice. His expression didn't change, but his next words would leave no space for laughter. The room held its breath. He finally spoke, his voice steady but low, carrying more weight than a shout ever could. "It's strange," he said, looking directly at the aunt who had scoffed, "how some people forget where they came from the moment money enters the room." A ripple moved through the gathering, some shifting uncomfortably in their seats. He wasn't yelling, but his words cut deeper than anger ever could. He didn't name names, but everyone knew who he meant. Still, no one dared interrupt. His older brother, who had always believed he deserved the success instead, folded his arms, his jaw tight. Years ago, he had warned him not to marry her. "She's not polished enough," he had said. "She won't survive in our world." But what they all failed to see was that she never wanted to be part of their world. She had never chased luxury or status. She only ever wanted honesty, respect, and peace in the corner. One cousin whispered to another, recalling how she had once helped pay for someone's medical bills quietly, without telling anyone. They remembered now, but they had never spoken up. And as he continued, revealing bits of what they had missed about her, the room shifted again, no longer mocking, but still unwilling to accept. Not yet. He stepped forward now, slowly, each word heavier than the last. "You mock her because she doesn't dress like you, doesn't speak the way you expect, and doesn't try to impress anyone here. But let me ask, how many of you would have stood by me when I had nothing?" No one answered. Eyes dropped. Chairs creaked. Even the confident ones were suddenly quiet. His wife remained still beside him, her silence more powerful than all the voices that had mocked her earlier. He scanned the room, pausing on each familiar face. "When my first business failed and the bank nearly took our home, she was the one who sold her grandmother's earrings to keep us afloat." She didn't complain, she didn't run, she stayed. The tension in the room tightened like a rope being pulled too hard. One cousin tried to laugh it off, but it fell flat. The atmosphere was too heavy, too raw. Then he opened his phone and placed it on the table. "Let me show you something." A short clip began playing footage of her volunteering at shelters, helping a sick child's family cover hospital bills, speaking quietly to an elderly woman in a food line. No makeup, no cameras, just her being herself. And yet, still, they stared in disbelief, because the truth was harder to accept than the lie they had created about her. Just as the room fell into stunned silence, his phone buzzed again. He glanced at the screen, and something in his expression shifted just slightly, but enough to catch her attention. She leaned in, whispering, "What is it?" He hesitated, then turned the screen toward her. Her eyes widened. It was a message from a board member, one of his most trusted advisors, warning him that someone from the family had tried to leak false information about her to the media. The timing wasn't a coincidence. Someone in that very room had planned to destroy her reputation right before tonight's meeting. He placed the phone back on the table, but said nothing yet. Instead, he let the tension build. Everyone was still, focused on the clips, but now his eyes scanned the room with a different purpose. Someone here wasn't just judgmental, they were actively trying to ruin her. And that changed everything. His brother shifted again in his seat, avoiding eye contact. One of the cousins fidgeted with her necklace. It wasn't just about pride anymore, it was about betrayal, and not against him. Against her, a woman who had done nothing but remain silent and kind. The air thickened as the truth edged closer. He was no longer defending her. He was preparing to expose someone. He turned to the family now, calm but cold. "I wasn't going to say this tonight. I had hoped respect might be earned without threats. But someone here crossed a line." He picked up his phone again and projected the message onto the big screen in the room. Gasps echoed as the sender's name lit up. His own brother. Same brother who had smirked earlier, who had always doubted her. His face drained of color. "You tried to sell a false story to the press, claimed she was a fraud, that she only married me for money. You even forged old photos to make her look like she was involved in a scandal." His voice cracked not with weakness, but with disappointment. "And for what? To protect your ego. Or to break her down like you do with everyone who doesn't fit your mold." The room was dead silent. Then his wife, who had said nothing all evening, finally stood. Her voice was soft but firm. "You thought my silence meant weakness, but I stayed quiet because I had nothing to prove. Now you've proven everything about yourselves." Just as everyone thought it was over, he added, "And one more thing, I've rewritten the family trust. The person who tried to destroy her is no longer part of it." The shockwave hit harder than anything else that night. The room remained frozen for a moment, as if time had stopped. His brother sat in stunned silence, unable to defend himself. No one rushed to his side. The same relatives who once gossiped and laughed now looked away, unsure of their place. The man took his wife's hand and gently guided her toward the exit. But before leaving, he turned back once more. "Kindness isn't weakness. Humility isn't failure. And the woman you tried to destroy is the reason I stand here today." Outside, the cool night air felt lighter, as if something heavy had finally been lifted. She smiled at him, not because she needed his defense, but because he chose to speak. When it truly mattered, word spread quickly after that night. Some family members called days later to apologize. Others stayed silent, too ashamed to face the truth, but they didn't look back. They returned to their quiet life, where success was measured not in noise or approval, but in peace and honesty. She continued her quiet acts of kindness, and he continued to build not just wealth, but a legacy rooted in respect. In the end, it wasn't power that made her unforgettable, it was grace, even in the face of cruelty.